All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're going to tackle something that might just flip your whole view of healthy eating on its head. We're going to challenge a belief that's been drilled into us for years about the real enemy in our diet.
Think about it. For what feels like forever, the number one rule has been simple: avoid sugar. But what if that's not the whole story? What if the biggest threat to our health isn't sugar at all, but something else? Something hiding in thousands of foods we eat every single day.
So we're going to treat this like a real investigation. It's time to put on our detective hats, because we're on the hunt for a culprit that's been flying under the radar for way too long.
Look, sugar has definitely earned its bad reputation. No one's arguing that. But while we've all been so focused on cutting out sugary drinks and desserts, a totally different kind of carbohydrate has been quietly taking over our food supply, often disguised as just a harmless little additive.
So let's meet our two main suspects. And just to be clear, we are not talking about the good, natural starches you find in things like sweet potatoes or beans. No. We are talking about highly processed, factory-made additives.
First up, we have modified food starch. This stuff is basically a food scientist's dream. It's an ultra-processed filler that gives food that perfect, consistent texture. It makes sauces creamy, stops yogurt from getting watery. It's like an edible glue. The key thing to remember is this: it's engineered for texture, not for your nutrition.
And here is suspect number 2, maltodextrin. It looks so innocent, right? It's just a fine white powder made from corn or rice. It's super cheap to produce, so companies love to use it as a filler in, well, everything. Protein powders, salad dressings, you name it. But behind that harmless appearance is a secret. Its effect on your blood sugar is absolutely shocking.
And that leads us to the biggest, most unbelievable claim of this whole thing. And you might not believe this at first, but how do these industrial starches actually stack up against good old-fashioned table sugar?
So let's put them head to head. We all know that eating table sugar makes our blood sugar go up. But here's the crazy part. Maltodextrin gets absorbed by your body so fast that it causes a blood sugar spike that is even faster and even higher than pure table sugar.
Let's look at the numbers. This is the glycemic index. It's just a way to measure how quickly a food jacks up your blood sugar. Table sugar clocks in at about 65. That's pretty high. But look at maltodextrin. It can score up to 110. That's literally off the charts. It's even higher than pure glucose. That kind of massive spike and the inevitable crash that comes after is just a disaster for your metabolism.
This quote just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? These ingredients exist for one reason and one reason only: to solve a manufacturing problem. They make food cheaper to produce, help it sit on a shelf longer, or give it a certain feel in your mouth. They were never, ever created with our health in mind.
Now you might be thinking, okay, I get it, they're in junk food. But this is where the conspiracy really deepens. See, these starches are masters of disguise, and they love to hide out in the very foods we buy because we think they're good for us.
So let's ask the question, where are these metabolic bombs actually hiding? Well, the answer is probably a lot closer than you think. They're likely sitting in your own pantry right now.
The irony here is just incredible. You grab a sugar-free yogurt thinking you're making a healthy choice, right? But manufacturers just swap the sugar for maltodextrin to keep the creamy texture and bam, you still get that massive blood sugar spike. It's the same story with gluten-free stuff, where these starches are used to fake the texture of wheat. They're in your salad dressings, your soups, your protein bars, even in baby food. It is the ultimate bait and switch.
Okay, I know, that was a lot of bad news, but here comes the good news. You have all the power to avoid this stuff. This isn't about being scared, it's about being smart. So your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to become a detective in your own kitchen.
And here's your simple 3-step field guide. Step 1, completely ignore everything on the front of the package. All those flashy claims like sugar-free, healthy, natural, just ignore them. Step 2, flip it over and find the ingredients list. That's where the truth lives. Scan that list for our two culprits: modified food starch or maltodextrin. Step 3, if you see them, you now know the real story. You can make an informed choice.
And honestly, that's what this all comes down to. You don't need a science degree. You just need one or two key pieces of information to make way better choices for yourself. Simply knowing to look for these two ingredients is a huge step in taking back control of your own health.
So we'll leave you with this final thought. The next time you're at the grocery store, or even just in your kitchen, pick something up, flip it over, read the label. Now that you know the secret, what are you going to find is really in your food?